So let's go ahead and do some intros. So who do we have on? Where are you from? And what are you looking to get out of today?
So this is Cody Clark. I'm from Idaho and looking to get out the steps to get 40 years of experience in 11 days, like I said.
Boom.
Yeah, I love that analogy, so very interested in that.
Awesome. Welcome, Cody. Okay, who else do we have? Let's get two more intros.
So I'm Sarah, and I am in California. You knew me because I lived in Utah before, but I'm here with my husband, John, because I figured it would be applicable for him and his goals too. Say hi, John.
Hello.
He grew up here in California, and we're excited to just learn about how to do stuff faster.
Sweet. Good morning, sir and John. Welcome. Good to have you guys on. Okay, let's get one more intro real quick, and then we'll dive in. Who else would like to introduce? Go ahead, introduce yourself real fast.
This is Spencer. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sweet. Hey, Spencer Sessions, Pocatello, Idaho. We talked a year and a half ago with the CEO Circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while. Anyway, my business, the thing that I'm trying to begin here is helping parents and youth to manage their cell phones better.
Oh, sweet.
And that's really what my path and direction. I feel like I've had this amazing path of cell phone addiction and video game addiction and that whole thing. And so I really want to help parents understand the dangers and what they can do to help their youth and also the youth as well. So I just it's landed in my lap this last week as far as the direction I want to take, but I now don't want to wander for 40 years to make that happen. So.
Awesome. Cool. Well, that's awesome. Hey, good to see you again, man. And welcome, Spencer. Welcome, everyone. And those of you who are on the recording, welcome. Welcome to this webinar. We'll go about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the interaction and how many questions you guys have. My name is Tyler Watson. My wife, Emily, was going to co-facilitate this. She had a really rough night last night, and she's taking care of the kids, so she might pop in, she might not. I would much rather do it with her because she has so much wisdom to share. But if she can't, just send her some love, send her some healing and some rest. So having a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old can be kind of wearing out sometimes. So I know many of you know that. So first off, I just want to thank you guys for being here on a Saturday. Welcome. And those listening to the recording, welcome. My name's Tyler Watson, and I'm the owner of the Freedom Catalyst and what we call Enrollment Masters. Our mission is to empower cause-driven entrepreneurs to value themselves and package what they do so that they can enroll clients consistently for the right reasons. And what does that provide? Well, it gives people freedom of time. It gives them financial freedom, and it gives them the opportunity to do what they love. So it's a lot of fun things, and that's what we're about, amongst many other things. Now, a little bit about myself. I know I look like I'm 16 years old. Couldn't even find my necklace. We just moved. So now I really look like I'm 16. If I wear my necklace, I look like I'm at least 19. So it's kind of fun. My background, real quick, just to kind of earn the right, so to say, is real quick, just to toot my horn. 4 years ago, started off as an entrepreneur. I started off as a Thai yoga therapist, and I didn't know really what I wanted. I did know I wanted to make money. I did know I wanted to serve people, and I did know that I wanted to create a lifestyle of freedom, but I didn't know how. And I saw a lot of people take a really long time to do it, and some people never do it. Some people who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s still trying to live their dream and never actually being able to do it in life. And that, to me, didn't feel right. So 4 years ago, I met my wife, who unfortunately can't be with us today. And that altered the course of everything that I was about. I went from a place of where, from 12 to about 18 years old, struggled with suicidal thoughts, depression. I didn't value myself, pornography addictions, video game addictions. I didn't know who I was, and I didn't have a clear vision of where I wanted to go. And I was afraid to dream. I was afraid to dream because I was afraid to fail. And throughout that experience, I was very angry, very sad. I had a lot of trapped emotions that I didn't talk to people about. My mom and dad would say, hey, how's it going? After my mom went through 4 divorces, dad went through 2. And I would say, it's fine. And I would be the happiest kid. And I would be the one who's the MVP, the class president, all these things. But at the end of the day, I didn't feel good enough. But I couldn't tell people that. And so throughout that course of direction, I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody, and when we have just so there's no background on here. There we go. Yeah, go ahead and mute yourself. We'll unmute you when we're going to do some interactions. Basically went from a place of really struggle and lack to meeting my wife, to understanding what I'm fixing to teach you today about how to take 40 years of struggle and pack it down into literally about 11 to 12 days. And this is the example that the Israelites teach, and I'll share this even if you're a believer or not. It's a great experience and a story that to me is super inspiring. And that's helped me go from that place of struggle and lack and inability to sell anything. Like I literally would be paralyzed in fear, thinking about having to tell somebody about what I did. I would literally freaking shake. And then I would turn around and I'd feel not good provider. I'd feel like a wimp. And I didn't feel like I could talk to my wife because I didn't feel like a very good provider. And so that year we made $12,500. The next year, applying these principles, both overcoming the fear of the cycles of looking back on the past. The second thing, being able to see what I want with what I call the eye of faith. See with the eye of faith, so specific that you experience it before it happens. And the third thing, to be able to actually create strategies, the systems and strategies to actually go do it, the how. And incorporating all 3 of those things in 1 year, we were able to do over $135,000, which to me was huge. I was like, wow! 12,500, 135,000. That was huge for me. I know some of you might be doing more, some less. Don't compare yourself. For me, it's what I wanted. The next year, I went from a place to being able to do joint ventures with Ted McGrath, Les Brown, speaking in Canada and all over the United States, to then being able to do multiple 6 figures in a weekend, where we generated over $225,000 in just 3 days. And so throughout that experience, I just share those things because not only do we create a lot of money, but to me, I have an amazing relationship with my wife, which to me, I've seen so many people make a lot of money and lose the most important thing. I believe that people need to be wealthy, need to be spiritual, and need to have thriving families and relationships. And I don't think that there's any reason why we can't do that, why every single person listening to my voice can't do that. Yes? So that's what I'm about today. I'm about power. I'm about empowering self, empowering others, trusting in self, trusting in others, and trusting in your higher power. So today we're going to cover those 3 things. Is number 1, address how the cycle of fear and the past stops us and literally will make you walk in circles for 40 stinking years. So if you don't want to do that, then just make a commitment right now to yourself that I am not going to live the cycle of victimhood anymore. That whatever cycle you're in, whether it's emotional whether it's relationships, whether it's financial, that today, by the time we're done, that you commit to be done with it. And then to commit to living for your vision, which is the second piece. I'm going to break it down into about 12 ways of visualization. I'm not going to share anything new today. Everything I'm going to share is going to resonate. You're going to be like, oh yeah, I know that. You're going to know it. But the thing is, it's not what you know. It's what you do. It's not what you know. It's what you do. Now, knowledge helps. Knowledge gives us the ability to act. So I might enlighten you and give you some new perspectives. But by the time we're done, I want you to be able to say, I am now ready to do, to take action and make changes. Good? So type in the chat box. Let me know that you're still with me, that you're good, that you're following along. Third thing we're going to talk about is the systems, structures, and strategies. And so I'm going to be using this board. So we'll be writing down some stuff. This is going to be interactive. All right. Still there, Spencer, Deanne, Cody. What awesome. Thank you for doing that. And Sarah, great. Derek, boom. Awesome. Maria, awesome. We got a lot of great people today. Welcome, everybody. Are you ready to have fun today? If you're ready, go ahead and unmute yourself. Let out a big blast. Like, let's hear some energy. If you're excited to learn and experience some massive change, let's hear it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Woo-hoo. Sweet. So let's dive in. Okay.
Ready to.
Here's some rules. Number one, first rule, remove judgment. So whatever I'm about to say, just remove judgment about you, about me, about what I'm about to teach. I just invite you to be in a place of what I call equanimity, which is a place of pure understanding. Non-judgment, but pure understanding. If I share something that doesn't resonate with you, just throw it away. Don't use it. But if I share something that makes an impact, write it down and take what? Action. Take action. The power comes from the action. It's not what you learn or how you feel throughout this experience. Yes, the feeling's good, but it's saying, I feel this, so now I'm going to move on this feeling. So if you feel something today, I want you to take note and then take action. Yes, perfect. Okay, so first rule, clear judgment, step into a place of equanimity. Second rule is have respect for all those on here. We're going to open it up and let people talk. You're all from different backgrounds, different wealth, different health, different everything. So do not worry about one or the other. This is about you and how you are going to make a change from this webinar. The third thing is that as you're going through this, I'll be sharing some very powerful pieces. Most people I teach are very spiritual. This stuff comes from the Bible. Now, I teach on all sorts of philosophies. I teach from a lot of different books. Today is focused a lot on this experience, hence Moses and Israelites, they're from the Bible. So I'm going to be teaching from it. If that triggers you or if you get offended, number one, I would work on that, because anytime you get offended from someone else's philosophies is a reflection of your own insecurities. That's all. And anytime you have that come up, it's a great example to say, I can change so that I can make a bigger impact with my message. I can change so that I can make a bigger impact with my message. Okay, so those three rules. If you're good with that, give me a big high five or hands up or in the comment thumbs. Good, I see lots of people. Okay, great. Okay, so let's dive in. Now, as we're going to do this, I want you to type in right now, what is your intention by the time we're done today? For you to say that this is going to be the most impactful webinar of the day, at least. At least the most impactful webinar of the day. If this is the only one, then boom. If this can be the most impactful webinar for the day, perhaps even for the year, what needs to happen today for you to say, this changed my life? Take a minute, think on it, put that in the chat box. Because your intention, as you're going to see with the second piece that I'm going to teach, is going to be one of the most powerful principles you can master. This is everything. Starts with intention. What do you want to get out of today? Put it in the chat box. Those of you on the recording, write it down. What do you want to get? Even if this is already done and it's not live anymore. By you setting your intention, a recording can be life-changing by setting intentions. Everything has a frequency. You can tune into that frequency. Great. Cody says, clear action steps to move my business forward and create 10K this month. Epic. And go ahead and mute yourselves if you're on. That way we can just make sure that everybody can hear. I hear some background noise. Okay. So keep putting that in. And then we're going to dive in to the first part. Okay, Derek says, go first, my friend, to unlearn, relearn, and learn as I go. Very well. Very, very well put. Okay, good intention. All right. I hope to identify, Cheryl, I hope to identify patterns that have been keeping me from moving forward so I can create life I desire. Great intention. Great intention. Okay. Take action every day, Maria. Good one. And I would even change that to take specific action that gets specific results every day. Because I know people that take a lot of action and it goes circle, 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 like you're still taking action, but it's in circles. So to take specific actions to get specific results. To have the motivation, Sarah says, to make the changes necessary to create the business I want to support my family. Awesome. Okay. And motivation, I might talk about what motivation is later, of what it is. Because when we're unmotivated, there's actually factors, systems that have been out of place in our life that make us unmotivated. So it's a simple formula, how to get motivated. We'll talk, maybe that'll be another webinar. Okay, cool. Great intentions. Now, the story comes from Numbers 11. So you guys, most of you should know this. Moses, he's called of God. He's this prophet, right? And he's like, hey, lead the Israelites out of bondage. Go get them out. You know, he goes, if you've ever seen Prince of Egypt or the Ten Commandments, and you know, Moses goes up there and parts the Red Sea. All the people cross, right? They were in bondage and slavery, being beaten. They were being very constricted in life. I would say that they were not in their ideal lifestyle. Yeah. So that as a slave, they felt probably not good enough. They felt hopeless. They felt powerless. They didn't feel capable. And now Moses is leading out. They cross the Red Sea. Egyptians get washed away and they're saved. It's like from years and years of slavery to now freedom. Okay. And you'd expect, you know, anytime someone leaves physical bondage, that they would become grateful, happy, excited. Yeah. Here's the thing that I'm going to share with you that most entrepreneurs fail at. The Israelites had conditions, circumstances that felt like it was in bondage. They were circumstances. How many of us have circumstances? You're in a house, maybe financial, you have health Are those circumstances? Yes. Okay, so let's hear what happens. Fast forward, they're walking around, they're trying to find the promised land, right? But they're getting pretty hungry. And they get this stuff called manna, which isn't Rhodesian grill, or it's not the best, it's not Olive Garden. It's actually kind of like oil, and it tastes like oil. And here's what they say. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? This is Numbers 11, 4, 5, and 6. We remember the fish. What's that word? Remember. Think about that. We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There's nothing at all besides this manna before our eyes. They're just disgusted. Like, all we have to eat is this manna. Like, oh, we're in bondage. So they go from a place of bondage and continue in bondage. They don't actually become free because their mind is still enslaved to dwelling on the past. They start to think about what used to be, what was known. What was known. Our past is known. It's familiar. So it's safe. Whatever is safe, familiar in the past, that is what we like to dwell on because it's real. The future, most of us fear because it's not real. It's not there. You can't see it fully. Most people don't because they don't do the principle number 2, which I'm going to teach. And so they dwell mostly on the past of what would have been or what could have been or what has been and all the things on the past. Now, what does this do? Well, let's fast forward here. Numbers 14:2. And the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron, and the whole congregation said to them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God we had died in this wilderness? And wherefore hath the Lord brought us into this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt? And they said unto another, let us make a captain and return to Egypt. So they're literally at this point where they're like, let's go back to slavery. At least we had some good food. They're literally, everything they're focused on when they were in slavery was get out of slavery. Now that they're out of slavery, everything they're focused on is we need food. So they're never happy with their circumstances. Error number 1, all entrepreneurs fall into, is being a victim to the circumstance and not allowing true happiness to exist in the present. Let me describe all that because that's like a big statement there. When you don't have money, when your bank account's strapped, when your health is dwindling, when your relationship may not be ideal, the test is, can you still be happy? Can you still be free, regardless of the circumstance that you are in? That, my friends, is the real test. Here's what happened. They have this plain. Here's the promised land, right? You have this promised land over here. You have the past, and then you have this part right here, which is the present. If you dwell on the past, what happens is by dwelling on the past, what does this look like? A semicircle, right? So what happens is this past, dwelling on the past, always thinking about what could have been or what should have been, or man, I really felt good. And some of us don't even do this consciously. Some of us do this unconsciously. Like for me, I was like, I don't really dwell on the past. I don't think about my past very much. But in reality, my thoughts of thinking I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it, the feelings that I had were representations of me feeling and thinking in the past. because I didn't feel good enough today was by a choice from yesterday or a choice from last year or an addiction that I was in. So these feelings of the past create this cycle. Now, this is what I call the 40-year cycle. It's not fun. So this 40-year cycle is ridiculous. And it's when we get stuck in the past. If something is taking you too long, it is because one of two things, or one of three things. I always start here first. Most people are still stuck in the past. Something happened to them when they were a child, something happened to them growing up, something happened to them when they were a kid, and they're stuck in this cycle of thinking in the past. Let's say you go out to talk to somebody, and this fear comes up. Oh no, I'm afraid to talk to somebody. That fear is from something in the past. Let's say I'm going to go vision and go for a goal, but I have this avoidance of it. The avoidance comes from a failure of the past. Let's say I'm struggling again in a relationship. I'm not able to confront something. That, my friends, is another 40-year cycle of the past. It's a choice that you made, sometime a choice that now continues this cycle. So no matter how far along you think you're going, this just keeps stretching out further and further, and you never actually get closer to your goal. You feel like you're doing a lot of work. Like, I'm so busy, I've changed so much. But you haven't got your goal. Is this making sense? Let me know if you guys are following me somewhat, or if you have any questions so far about this cycle of the past. Because this is really key to recognize, because it happens every single day for people. Okay, making sense? Good, good, good. Now, if we truly want to go and get this goal, the object is to see this and see it clearly. You must be able to see crystal clear where you're going, what it's like, how you feel, the experience of it all. When you can do that in the present, like today, like right now, if you could step in and see it exactly how you want it, what happens is you move closer and closer and closer until it's obtained. The only time that you stop moving closer is, guess what? When your focus goes back to the past. Regrets, doubts, fears, uncertainties, unknowns. Anyone ever had a worry like about something that's going to happen in the future? That's because you're stuck in the past. Otherwise, you wouldn't worry. You would see it with the eye of faith and you just go do it. And there wouldn't be any room to worry. Anyone ever had an addiction to food, pornography, video games, Facebook, movies, anything like that? What that is, it's a choice that we made when we were younger. And anyone tried to get out of it, you're like, I want to get out of it. I want to get out of the addiction. What happens is if their focus is getting out of an addiction for the sake of an addiction, they're still stuck in the past. Because the addiction is something of the past. It's an addiction. It wouldn't exist in the future. So if the addiction didn't exist, if the frustration, if this stuff didn't exist, what would you create? It wouldn't be freedom from slavery. If you were free from slavery, they were focused on getting out of slavery, which put them back in slavery. But they were now slaves to their mind and their food. It was the same cycle over and over. They didn't get out of slavery. They were still a slave. Why? Because they were focused on the past. If you think, okay, how do I do this then? Well, if I was out of slavery, if I was out of this addiction, if I was out of this debt, what then would I create? That becomes a vision of faith and a vision of creation of what you truly want, because the focus isn't on the past. Is this making sense? I'm trying to take a big concept that I've tried to break down over the years and make it simple. Okay, good, making sense. Yes, awesome. Okay, so number one, recognize the cycles of the past. The second thing to do with this is confront. You must be a master confronter. What does confront mean? It means to see what you avoid, to whatever you fear, and go embrace it. Now, it doesn't mean anything illegal, unmoral, unethical. Anything that is for your good, like whether it's talking, usually it's around talking and communicating. Most people, like I've worked a lot with marital issues and addiction issues and just not getting results issues. So they're all the same. It's the cycle of saying, okay, got this cycle going on. I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. So they continue to manifest this. But the moment they're like, I do want this, and they say, I want to focus on this. This is what I want to create. This is what I'm building. This is what I'm living for. Then it starts to take them out of those cycles. Now, to confront, though, it doesn't mean to stuff the past. It doesn't mean to hide from the past or fear the past or avoid the past. To confront means to forgive and accept. To forgive and accept. And in order to forgive and accept, one must be able to speak it and not be ashamed of it. So you can do this with your higher power. You can do this with your spouse. You can do this with yourself and friends and coaches. To be able to say, this is what I'm struggling with. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to confront it. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to do something to get out of it so that I can create this. And the very act of saying, I want this, is the first step of actually getting out of this. So powerful. So many people I've helped with pornography, they're like, I want to quit doing pornography. And I'm like, why? Like, what do you want to do with that time? And they're like, well, it's just bad. And I was like, so why do you want to quit? And they're like, well, it's wrong. Like, God doesn't like it. My wife doesn't like it. It hurts my stuff. So why do you want to quit? Like, what's the point? Like, who cares? Let's say none of that even mattered. So why do you want to quit? Like, what are you going to do with your time? And if they don't know, they'll never quit. If they have nothing to live for, they'll fill their time with the cycles of the past. But the moment you start to entertain this idea of, maybe I'm here for a purpose. Maybe I have a mission. Maybe my voice matters. Maybe I can make a difference. Maybe I'm here to serve. Maybe I can actually make an impact. The moment you give your mind and heart entertainment on that is when you start to shed the shackles of the past and tune in to the future of success. And guess what? When you do that, your present becomes very happy. You're happy in any situation. You're happy. And isn't that why you're here on this planet? To be happy? So you don't need tons of money. You don't need relationships. You don't need help to be happy. Now, those things make happiness amplified if you choose it to, which I like a lot of money. I like awesome relationships, and I like a lot of time freedom. That makes me even more happy. But even without those, I can still choose to be very happy. Is it harder? Yeah, because then your cycles of the past are pulling you back. But is it doable? Absolutely. Okay, so that's step one. Cycles of the past. Learn how to get out of them. I don't have time to go into all the process of getting out of them and how to confront. That's for a different thing, but I want to give you this awareness. Step two is actually seeing with the eye of faith. Before we move on, though, I want you to write down one thing, not in the chat box, but for your own sake. what is the cycle of your past that's coming to your mind right now that you need to get out of and start focusing your focus on your future and what you actually want to create? What's a cycle of the past that your knowing knows deep down inside of you, you know that you've struggled with, that you need to confront and move forward? Write that down. Commit to yourself to do it. If you need help, I'll share with you an opportunity at the end of this, how you can get my help. And we have an event coming up actually in 2 weeks and some really cool stuff. And basically, I'm not going to do an official offer here. This is going to be pure content. But anyone who is interested, I'm going to set up some conversations with people, and I'll tell you all the details at the end. It's going to be really cool. So if you need help, it's okay. Just be like, all right, this is at least step one. Got it? Okay, if you got it, give me a big thumbs up. If you wrote down your cycle that you need to work on, sweet. Okay, step 2. Let me see if I move this to gallery mode. There we go. That's cool. I can see everybody. Every smiling, happy faces. All right. And if you want to show yourself on video Saturday in the morning, you could. I like to see your faces. So sweet. Sarah, Spencer, and Maria. Nice to see you all. Okay, got my cycle. Sharina, beautiful. Okay, step 2. Here we go. Oh, Sharina, good to see you. Okay, I'm going to erase this. I wonder if it records mine as anyone a Zoom expert? If I put it on speaker view, it should record me speaking, right? Even though I can see everybody for the recording. Okay, sweet, good. Thanks, Trina. Okay, so step 2. I have faith. This is going to be amazing. Okay? Now that you're aware of the cycles of the past, how do you actually see something with cycles of the past that are always trying to pull us back? How do we entertain so much energy and thought on what we want that we're no longer slaves to the past? And that we can actually break free in the moment, live in the present, and start moving toward the future. Here's the principles that we're going to cover. And I wrote down a bunch of them. Because this is, how many of you have visualized before and had success with like visualizing and like seeing something and getting it, right? Good. Everybody who I can see your video. And who doesn't see your video, just put it in the chat box. You can just, instead of raising your hand, you can just, me. Sweet. Okay, Deanne, yeah. Okay. Hopefully, this isn't anything new. This is just going to be a reminder and taking it to the next level. Okay? So whatever you want to create, I use these principles, the principles of the eye of faith, to first find my marriage with my amazing wife. Number 2, to get a vehicle that I at the time I didn't have the money, so I used this principle to get a car that exactly what I wanted. Number 3, the third time I did it to where I first made my first $10,000 a month. 4th time I did it was when I created I got a sword. Actually, this was given to me by a good friend of mine in Missouri and a prominent leader, and I didn't have a sword and I wanted one, and I used these principles, and he just gave it to me one day. He's like, hey, you want a sword? I was like, actually, I just visualized that, and within 2 weeks, got my sword. So with that, what else? Ideal house, created our ideal house. Was able to generate over $225,000 in a weekend, was able to help clients create $40,000 in a week or in a month, another one be able to get $12,000 in a week, Like generating results for other people, you can do the same thing. Tyler, you mean your influence, your visions can actually impact the way people live their life? Doesn't that bother with people's agency? I don't think so. So I don't care. Like, doesn't it bother people's agency if you're really mean and you go up and punch somebody and you beat them up and throw them on the street? Yeah. So why not? Can't you do that for good? Yeah. So stop fearing doing it for good and start doing it for good, right? Because I think if we all just did it for good and quit worrying about affecting people's agency, then people would actually change. So start focusing on good all the time. Now, it doesn't mean ignore the past. There's techniques and stuff to shift that. But we're going into the future, right? So lots of things that it works for. Lots of things. What is it that you're working for right now? What is this represented to you? Write it down in the chat box. I want to see what your goal is. What is it that you're wanting to create specifically that you can say, check, I got it. I don't want to see any of this. I just want to be more happy, because happiness needs to be measured. Your emotions can be measured. But let's say if you're not happy, you have to rate it 0 to 10, 0 being not happy, 10 being fully happy. Then you'd have to say, I want to be at a level 10 happiness for a full day or something like that. That way you can actually say, check, got it, right? People who deal with emotions, where they lack is the ability to measure, which is going to be step 3, which is the system, structures, and strategies that we're going to talk about. Okay, Sarah says, creating $2,000 in a month in my business. This month you created $1,000, so that was really exciting. Boom, well done. Maria, 2017 Ford Excursion EL. Boom, awesome, sounds fun. Cool. Oh, I forgot to mention, you can do it with your car. Like I got my Subaru, that was my ideal car. It was a Subaru Outback. I was like, yeah, I got my Subaru. That was, I don't want too much. I'm a pretty practical guy. But it's an awesome vehicle. Finances in order, accounting up to date, and husband involved. Okay, so finances in order, I would get more specific on that. What needs to happen? Like what specifically means finances in order? Because that's like saying my home in order. Like what does that mean? Like it's always in a state of chaos and order, chaos and order, chaos and order. It's always going back and forth. And so to have something in order, you need a definition on what order means for you. That way it's very specific and laid out. Accounting up to date, that's good. And then husband involved. And then how much involved? So it's like husband involved, meaning he just supports you and says, I'm involved because I love you, honey. Or is it like your husband is actually in the thicket doing these structure pieces or doing this, right? Get really specific on what you want on that. Create $1,000 from presentations, Derek, beautiful, okay. Create a landing page with the message I know my message presents so that parents and youth can know how to reach me so I can teach and train them how to overcome their technology and addiction problems. Cool, it's a good one. I can help with some of these. Let's see. Sarah, just want to shout out, John and I created a free trip to Disneyland. We just paid $20 for parking and had all our food paid also. We need to talk to you. I'm going to go to Disneyland in September, so hook me up. Cool. Create an online course on improving relationships, promoting it to Facebook group, create $1,000 in sales from it. Awesome. Great. These are awesome. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, here's what happens. As you create this, as you state this, where do your thoughts and emotions go? Does it feel overwhelming? Does it feel difficult? Does it feel unknown, scary, unsure? If so, you're stuck in the cycle of the past. I'm bringing this to your reality right now. If you just had thoughts of doubt, of fear, of uncertainty, of is this really what I want? Is this really going to happen? Or is this just another wish? You're still stuck in the cycle of the past. And no matter how much you focus on that, it's going to take you another 40 freaking years until you actually apply these principles and decide I'm done and I'm going to live for this. Now, hopefully what I'm about to teach will help you get out of that, right? But I want you to have that awareness. Hopefully it should be a little like charging inside of you. Like when I first saw that I was still stuck in the past, I got a little upset at myself because I had done a lot of work on myself. I was like, are you for real? Tyler, are you still going through these? Come on, man. Like, are you kidding me? And you got to get a little energized. You got to have some emotion going. Otherwise, if you're just like, yeah, just another cycle. Guess I'm just this way. Guess it's just destined to be. Guess God didn't want it. Whatever all that junk is, right? That's just a cycle of the past. So now it's time to start seeing the future. Here's how to do it. Let me see here. I wrote it down here. I'm going to list, and then we're going to do this live so you can feel it and actually get into it. All right. Give me a second here. Okay. Here's all the principles that you need to establish to really tap in with an eye of faith and get out of the cycle of fear. My black marker's running out. Switch here. Can you see this okay on this side? Can you see all this, or do I need to turn off a light or something? Is that better? Maybe change the, is that good? Okay, that's all I want to talk about right now. 10 things. So, see and sight, I'll talk about what all these are and how to do them. The feel, the weight, the emotion, the proximity, the texture, the smell, the body position, the motion, and interaction between objects and people. Okay, so let's say I want to make, let's pick one of these. Okay, so create an online course. Where did that go? Sharina, create an online course on improving relationships. Let me read that again. Where'd it go? Oh, promoting it on Facebook group, creating 1,000 sales with it in 1 month. Okay, so there's 3 parts to your goal, Sharina. There's the creation, then there's the promotion, and then there's actually the selling. So to many of our goals, there's like 3 or 4 parts. So you actually have to do this on every part. That's the problem with most people, is they just try to do it on the big picture of like, I want this much money. So it's like, ta-da! It's like, it's not real. So if I was going to first create a course, then I would imagine and I would see myself creating a course. So I would close my eyes and I'd see myself at the desk, and I would see all the interactions of this course being created and it just mapping out. I don't even need to know the details of the course, but just the seeing of the course being created. The second thing, I would feel, this kind of goes into some of the texture and the emotion together, but also, so I'm going to combine a little bit of this. The feeling or the emotion of me creating it. So as I'm creating it, I'm going to feel, it's going to feel exciting. I'm going to feel like, holy cow, this is just downloading in pure inspiration, just coming to me. And I'm seeing myself going in, and I feel excited as I'm creating this course. And watch the thoughts, because they'll say, but I don't get stuck, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. No, this is purely what you're creating. So it's like, I'm creating it, and it's fun, and it's exciting, and I see myself just going through it. The problem with the cycles of the past is it's what you know. So if you don't know what you're trying to see, that's going to try to fight this vision. And it's your job to focus harder on the vision and tune out the cycles of the past. Now, I teach tapping. You can write, you can do stuff like that to shift some of that, and you don't ignore it. Don't be like it's not there. They're actually saying something to you to say, I need to be changed. I need to be forgiven. I need to be understood and let go. Then they don't have a voice anymore. The only reason the cycles of the past have a voice is because you haven't learned the lesson that it was trying to tell you. The only reason why the cycles of the past come back is because you haven't learned the lesson it was trying to tell you. That's why it keeps coming back and back and back and back. Till one day you decide, I'm going to learn this lesson. Now you stepped out of the 40-year cycle and into what you're desiring. So I'm seeing it. I'm feeling the excitement of getting this course created. And I see it, just all the pieces created. If you do have a vision of what it's going to look like, then see all the pieces, because that makes it even more powerful. The weight. How do I feel actual physical gravity on me? Like a heaviness, is it a lightness? You should feel it and sense it. As I'm at the desk, I feel like my shoulders are relaxed. I actually feel more capable. I feel like there's room. I feel almost kind of light as my fingers are just going at it, creating a mouse, and everything's just working. I'm super excited in it, and it's super fun, and I feel concentrated, connected. The proximity, as I'm visualizing it, it's right there. I'm touching it. I'm feeling it. I see the screen literally on next to my face. The proximity is so close. It's not like a third person, like looking over view. It's right here, and I'm right there connected. The texture, I feel, you should actually feel it in your fingertips while you're visualizing. I feel my fingertips on the keyboard, on the mouse. I feel it moving while the pressure is down, while the weight, while the emotions emotion is felt. You should experience it all right there. Like literally, I'm feeling it right now on my fingertips thinking about this. Like I feel my fingers, and you can actually feel it on your pads when you just think of it. And you should feel it like real. Smell. What do you smell? Maybe it's the smell of whatever you're visioning, right? Maybe it's a nice fresh day or air, or you're creating a beautiful day, or you're creating whatever it is that you want. The smells around you. Does it smell peaceful? Does it smells have emotions linked to it? Does it smell good? Does it smell nasty? All the smells, that's what you want to evoke while you're doing this. The body position. Am I hunched? Am I straight? And is my connection with things real? And it should all be exactly as it would be in its prime, right? The motion that I'm doing, so the movements that I'm having with the mouse, the fingers going at it, I'm seeing the motion of the mouse. I'm seeing things being dragged. I'm seeing things being created. I'm seeing text go in. I'm seeing the colors. Oh, I forgot to put on their color. That was the other one. I'm seeing the vivid colors. I should actually evoke color. So I see the blues, I see the reds, I see this. I see all the different colors involved in this course creation. Now, interaction between objects and people, we kind of evoke that with the motion and stuff. But just remember that that has to be part of it. So the interaction. Is there anyone I'm involved with? Maybe I'm brainstorming with somebody. Maybe I'm calling them up. This applies to all of your goals. And when you're done visualizing, this should only take 5, first couple times you do it, it's going to take 10, 15 minutes because it's like you got to train your brain to like focus. By the time you're done, you should be able, and you do this daily, you should be able to knock this out in about 5 minutes, going through all the pieces. Okay? I've been doing this for the past 2 weeks in depth, and some things are harder for me, some things are easier, right? You'll find different topics are harder or easier. And I'm actually going through a book. I'm not going to suggest it to anybody right now because it is a more in-depth book. But essentially, and he actually says don't go through this until you've gone through some of the previous stuff. It's from Hubbard. But he has over 800 visualizations to go through to evoke the past and specific things. And talk about like, you will get tired. So if you get tired, all tiredness is, so if you get tired when you're visualizing or yawn, it's actually steam buildup. And what happens is when you're confronting past, the cycles of the past, you will get sleepy, you will get foggy headed, and the key is to just keep going, and then you'll have a release, a yawn or a sigh, which then your energy will spike again. So just know that that's part of the experience as you get tired, as you get the feeling of foggy headed, as it gets, the vision gets distorted and unclear. That's part of the process. And to keep going, like you will physically get tired and exhausted doing this experience over and over and over. It's part of confronting the past. When you confront, your mind wants to shut off because it's afraid. And it's actually a tactic that keeps us safe. And so that doing it so vividly is a way of confronting. So I'm actually going through and confronting things of the past. I'm bringing up things. I'm doing all this with past stuff. And then future things as well. So I'm getting good at confronting both. So like, for example, like so just something, an example here of bringing up something of the past to confront, right? So you could just recall a time, and you could do, recall a time you threw away something bad. And you do all this with the time that you threw away something bad. Recall a time that you drove fast. And you do it with all the thing, any time that you drove fast, and you get all the experiences. Now, why do you do this? Because when you, and these are just neutral things. These are just like things to, it doesn't matter. But you could do it with negative things. You could do it with positive things. The problem is if you can't do it with negative things, there's limitations to your ability to see the future because you're afraid of your senses. When you go through things in life that are negative, you dull your senses because you don't want to feel the pain. It was so much. So that's why if someone says, I just have a hard time visualizing, to me, they're saying, I've been through a lot of stuff that I'm not confronting, and it seems like it's too much. That's what I actually hear them say. When it says, oh, I just can't visualize, what that means, oh, you've been through a lot of things and you haven't confronted them because you're afraid. That's what they're saying. So doing these processes, helping them take them step by step is key. Okay, so let's just read some of these things. Derek, vision board techniques, awesome. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you can do this vision board. You can do this with anything, anything that you have a focus on. Thank you for going into depth. This is good. You're welcome, Maria. Glad this is helping. Sharina, I heard you say that last week, and I've noticed it a lot more this week. It was very valuable to know that, so thanks. Yeah. Maria, why the negative things? To diffuse their power or to learn the lesson they have to give? Yes, and also to re-stimulate your senses. Because let's say, for example, when I got bit by a snake when I was 2 years old, I was 2 and I was in the sandbox and I got bit by a snake, a copperhead, twice on the ankle, and I was in the sandbox. And so, like, near-death experience. I had a very spiritual experience to get out of it. I'll tell you about some other time. But basically, through that experience, I used to fear snakes. I used to be, like, deathly afraid of snakes. And when I was a teenager, I got really angry at snakes. So I'd go on rampages with my 22 and just, like, kill tons of snakes, like in our pond and by our anything. Any snake I saw, I was like, "You're dead." And I just had a lot of anger towards snakes. As I learned to see it and actually go back and visit it and bring it up, now I can go back to that exact instance and bring up all the sensations without any fear. What happens is when we go through a traumatic event, we shut down senses. We dull them to avoid the pain, which actually causes more pain. When we dull our senses to avoid pain, we cause more future pain. Think about it. If I go through a negative experience, it hurts. I shut off my feeling. This happens all the time in relationships, especially with love. They get hurt. So now their ability to love shrinks. They're like, I'm not going to love. I'm not going to open up my heart because it hurts when it gets crushed. So they don't think about the past hurts because it hurts. So then they attract losers and they get hurt worse because they can't sense things anymore. They're completely dull to the real feelings and they attract worse things, the worst things. The more dull your senses get through those cycles over and over and over, the worse your situations are going to be because you become slaves to every single thing you don't confront. Every single thing you don't confront becomes a chain that's holding you down from your vision. You guys following this? Okay. So that's why you want to confront the negatives. Because they're chains. If I was chained, if I had a chain, think about it in just logical terms. Let's write this down. I'm going to erase all this. What time is it? Word flying. All right, cool. All right, let's say here you are. Here's the goal. Now, to see this, here's your past cycles that go in circles. Here's your chains that bind you. These are all your previous experiences that bind you. Now, to get rid of one of these, there's a couple ways people do it. Number one, they ignore it. We ignore it. It's like, well, it's there, but I'm just going to keep going. And they keep going towards this goal, right? They're like, I'm going to get to this goal. And so they ignore the chain. That's one strategy. Not effective, but it's one strategy. So first strategy, ignore it. Second strategy, get angry and destroy it. Like it's a chain that's bonded you, so you got to get vindictive, revenge. So you turn around and you just get ticked, and it's like, I am going to destroy these chains. And you go through and you start whacking them and whacking them and whacking them and beating them and beating them, and you don't even see it, but you see its general space, and you're just beating it, trying to get it off, which then causes more chains because you get hurt when you're aggressive and fighting, which causes more, but the more you get, the harder you fight. So you fight more. There's more, I gotta fight harder. And you keep fighting. That's strategy 2, to fight it. So also ineffective. Worse than the first one, because it just adds more junk. The third strategy is what I think is the best. You can make your own opinion on this. But I think if you actually just look at it, you'll see its weaknesses. and you'll see why it's attached to you. And you'll see and understand it. So if you just look back and don't fear it, don't fight it, then you can see that the chains might have some spaces that you can actually slide them and then just slip them off. And it's very easy. It's almost effortless versus fight, 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 or avoid, avoid, avoid. So the moment that you can just see it for what it is, not your interpretation where you fight it, but see it for what it is, there's lessons. Here's the things to learn. Lessons. There's also, the lessons include emotions that you need to experience more of. Emotions that you need to experience more of. And always, they're connected to people. Always. Every single one of your chains deals with people, whether it's you as a people, God as a people, or others as a people. But there's always someone involved. And the reason why we look back and can see it and learn it and experience it through the emotions, then we come to understand and really just love is really what it comes down to. And I don't care how corny that sounds, that's the truth. It really just comes down to where you create love, acceptance, forgiveness. Chain gets opened. Now, what that does, it frees up weight and space so that you can now see and move towards your goal with an eye of faith. Follow me? Okay. Questions about any of this? We're going to go to the third phase, structure, strategy, and system. Let me know if you have questions. And actually, I want to hear some feedback. What are some gold nuggets that you guys are getting? I feel like I'm talking too much and you guys are sitting there. I'm working too hard. All right, so let's see. Unmute yourselves, and I want to hear one gold nugget from everything that we've taught so far. Something that you've gained that you're going to take action on. If you don't have a speaker, put it in the chat box, but I want to hear some voices. I feel alone.
Something that I've been struggling with is being able to actually, like when I start to work on the things for my business, I start feeling a lot of difficult emotions, and then I sometimes will do it, but then sometimes I'll put it off or whatever. But I think doing the visualizations to help myself prepare to to change, so that I'm not afraid. Like I'm experiencing having a good time doing it is going to help me a lot. And I didn't even think about using visualizations for any step that I'm feeling frustrated with or upset about or scared of. So thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And yeah, if you actually do some of that with your past and experience it all, like there's things that I went through in trauma. Like I've done this with all the times I've actually succumbed to pornography, which was really hard because I had so much guilt and shame and doubt and fear. And I would actually go back specifically and experience it all. And I did it for literally, so 2 weeks ago, I did a variation of this where I come to understood, and I spent about 8 hours going through all the times. It was nuts. Man, I was exhausted. And yet, when I finished it, I felt completely free. It was amazing. And I was I don't feel bound to this anymore. I don't even have a temptation or a doubt or anything, because I went through and experienced all the lessons through it. And I went through all the emotions that I was hiding from. And then I started to understand why I was going through those cycles. And it was nuts. So it was beautiful. And then I did it with all my relationships that I'd ever been in to help amp up my relationship with my wife. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. So, okay, other shares. Let's hear some others.
A gold nugget that I got, Tyler. Can you hear me? This is Deanne.
Hey, Deanne. Yep.
And I don't have a webcam on this computer, so that's why I'm not embarrassed or anything. But the gold nugget that I got was just the very last thing, the chains, and just looking at those. And as you were describing that, several came up for me. So I appreciated that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Great. Let's get 2 more shares. We've got like 2, 4, 6 people on, 6 more people. So let's get 2 shares.
Tyler, this is Cody.
Go for it.
Hey, Cody.
I think going along with this has just been awesome. I had an experience just last Sunday of being able to let go of the past and seeing that cycle of like I want to be done with this, repeating it, and being able to go through that and release, to have that clear that, hey, now everything's gone from the past. It's like I don't have to search anymore to ask questions of like, oh, like, can I do this? Am I worthy? Or, oh, last time it didn't work out, or, you know, all those questions that came up that were getting stuck are gone after doing this and going through visualizing, and kind of a little bit different way, but the same thing of having that and knowing that, oh, cool, like I feel so free to move forward. I've received way more inspiration this week. Just like deciding to, okay, I'm done with this. And like you said, that rather than fighting, so I'm like, I have fought against my chains, and, you know, I do sword fighting as my thing. So I'm like, I'm all about the battle. I'm like, let's do this. Like, let's just fight harder. And I've been fighting against it for so many years. And like you said, it just gets worse and worse and tougher and tougher. So I'm like, I got to get stronger. And you just keep the same cycle though. And when you said the just slipping out of the chains, I just realized, oh, hey, they're really actually not so tight. You know, I could just choose to let go and slip out of this. And that's like, oh my gosh, now I feel free. Like it was so easy when putting that intention and doing it that way. And I've fought for a long time. So that was my nugget.
Awesome nugget. Thanks, Cody. 1 more share.
There you go.
Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. So I'm the father of 3. I've got all sorts of stuff going on in my life, right? We're all busy. One of my chains that I hold on to is the fact that I don't have enough time, right? One of the things I just feel as though I'm just strapped for time. And so one of the things that I want to visualize, this morning I made a list. It's the first time I made a list of things that I can possibly get done. But I want to then visualize myself making that list and what it's going to feel like, and making sure that I like visualize my day more so that I can make time for the things that are really necessary. And I hope that will actually create it where the right things will be placed there instead of just going full at it like we do. You know, sometimes we're like, I'm going to be really busy today. I'm going to take care of all this awesome stuff. And that's what I do though. That's what I've done with my business for the last couple of years. It says, I've got to be busy. I've got to take care of everything. But again, that'll help me to at least prioritize things and to visualize talking to my wife and letting her know, hey, this is my time to really take care of and create this list. That would be an awesome thing to be able to set aside that time and know how to deal with the kids mentally whenever they want something while I'm, you know. So anyway.
Beautiful.
Great techniques.
Good. Yeah, I actually applied this with my wife last week, where the night before I visualized me interacting with her and us just having the most connected time that we've ever had. And I visualized it and I went through it all. I went to sleep. The next day, there was actually a confrontation we had, and it stirred up a lot of negative emotions. And then we started to talk, and we had this huge breakthrough, and we felt more connected than we ever had in like 4 years. That's awesome. And I didn't even remember that I did the visualization till after, because she was saying like, I feel more connected until she said it. She's like, I feel more connected, like you're hearing what I'm saying more than even before. And then the light bulb turned on, and I was like, I visualized this yesterday. Like, this was epic. That was fast. And so it went through literally one day for me to make a deeper connection. Like no matter where you're at in any level, you can take your relationships, your income, everything to the next level. I also do this with phone calls, strategy sessions. So calls that I'm fixing to do that I want to work out, right? I also do this with creating $35,000 in a week. Like this is what I'm working on all the time to visualize and experience all the pieces. And it should feel so real that just the doing it is almost good enough. Like, it's just like, wow, I just got so happy doing that process. Like, I'm going to do the process just for my sake of being happy. Like, that's how it should be. So if you do the visualization and you don't get that high, like you should physically feel the emotions. You should physically, emotionally, spiritually, it should feel it in all areas where it's real. You should feel it. And then when it happens, sometimes it even feels less real because you're like, oh, I already did this. Like, this is interesting. It doesn't even feel like when I did this my first $10,000, when I actually made my $10,000, I was like, I was happy. I think I experienced more happiness visualizing it than when it actually came in. I was like, cool, that was awesome. All right, next thing. And that's how it's so powerful. So take this to the max. Let's read some of these things. All right. So Cheryl says, when we stuff emotions and don't confront them, they become chains or links in the chain. That is what is holding me back. And when I confront them, that is what creates the chain dissolving. Woohoo! Gold nugget there. Awesome. Sharina, when do you switch from releasing from bondage into doing something, like taking action? Tips and techniques. I could release stuff all day, but then I'm tired and don't want to act because I'm worn out. Okay, good question. Let me get to that in a minute. Sarah, how do you visualize something you have never experienced before? I mean, I know I can visualize things, but what about biological sensations, changes in my body? For example, health, weight changes, stronger arches, etc. Okay, good. Okay, let me answer Sarah's first and then Sharina's, because Sharina's is a little more in depth. So Sarah, and okay, so this is a big question. How, Tyler, do I experience something that I've never experienced before? How do I visualize making $100,000 or $30,000 if I've never done it? How do I visualize myself physically fit if I was never fit? How do I visualize myself having a good relationship if all I've been through is hell? Like, very valid questions, right? So here's what you do. You pretend. It's that simple. I know it's going to be like, but really, you pretend. How would it feel like? If I could do that, those are the phrases that I would ask myself. If I could, how would? So if I did make this, how would I feel? What would I do with it? And you actually have to be more of an imagination with this. This is where you get into creativity and imagination, which, guess what? You're already using your imagination in the circles of your past. You are. Every single entrepreneur has a very vivid imagination, but most of it's chained to the past. Anyone ever experience where they have worries and they go in cycles? Moms in the house, where you have like these worries of kids doing something or like something bad happens and you go literally like, it's just like cycle, right? Guys do it too, but women, especially as a mom, they go through these cycles of chains, worrying about kids and worrying about stuff, right? That is a very powerful imagination, which means, guess what? I'm going to toot the women's horns here, is women, in my point of view, just the broad spectrum, have more potential for creation than men. Think about it. They birth children. Talk about creation. Like, women have a power, which is a feminine power, that allows them to see things that most men on the planet can't. And so you have a lot of power inside of you, which means you have a lot of power to do good, It means it's a lot of power to do a lot of bad cycles. And a lot of women, that's why more women are depressed than men. That's why a lot of women get bogged down and frustrated, because they're so powerful, but they are allowing the power in the chains. Men, now that gets into a whole nother topic, masculine, feminine energy. Men, we definitely have that feminine energy and the ability to imagine. Some men more than others. And that's why you see some artists, they're very vivid and creative, but they lack the creation in actual monetary things or things that they desire. And it's only in their art. And so it's taking that same skill set and putting it to what you want. Okay. It's the same process though. If you find an artist and you can tie these principles to them, that's my phone. Just is ringing. Okay. Then that's where it begins. But most people don't feel it, don't experience the emotions, don't go all through all the tactile, all those things, the 12, 11 different things that I went through. Okay. So that's how you do it. You just got to pretend it and visualize it. And then start aligning your life with the principles that will get it. Because if you continue to do this every day, you will be guided as to what to do to get out of that, because your visualization will be out of integrity with your current circumstances. That's why if you do this powerfully enough, you'll be given action steps and you'll be given desires to stop things, to do things or stop things. Like when you see yourself making a lot of money over and over and over, all of a sudden your desire to like watch movies or check out or do things starts to go away, because it's now focused so much on what you want and it feels so real that when you check out, it's out of integrity with that vision. So it's a disconnect. It feels like the frequencies are in opposition. And you start to not do that. Same with food. You'll start to eat differently by visualizing how it really is. If you get this visualization so real, you'll stop eating foods that are harmful to your body. You'll stop eating late at night. You'll start to communicate more about your feelings, which will help release the weight as well. Like, it's so powerful. You change when you take your visualization so depth that it becomes real. Think about it. Even the people in the Israelites, as they were eating manna, I've had some pretty nasty stuff before. I lived in Mexico for 2 years. I lived off of crackers and bananas sometimes. And I could see and imagine that the food tasted like something else, and it actually would. Because if you actually create it, your taste buds are just senses. Everything's just a sense. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between real and not. So you can create anything you want. So the Israelites, if they would have taken it to the next level, they would have visualized how good it was, how tasty the food was. Instead of dwelling on what they wish they could have had, they could have visualized how amazing and grateful. And gratitude always amplifies all emotions. So if they were grateful for it and really just loving it, they'd feel this expansiveness, which I bet would have actually led them to different foods than just manna. That's just my thinking. Because if you're aligned with that frequency, by law, it comes into your life. That's the power of this. So this gets so in depth. We could go and go and go. But hopefully this is starting to make some connections, right? Hopefully you're getting some to-dos to jot down, some changes to make. Now, we need to wrap up. I didn't get to the system, strategies, and structure because I said I was going to be. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with you guys a couple systems and structure ideas. And then I'm going to share with you a quick opportunity that literally you can shoot me a text if you're interested on it, okay? Many of you are already part of this. Some of you are already in my Impact Income program. You've got Bridge to Unstoppable. So this isn't necessarily for you. But if you have a friend that you would like for them to experience this, then we'll get the recording out to you later today and send it to them, tell them about it, and then we'll get them plugged into whatever they need. So here's what I'm going to cover real fast. So we'll wrap it up, and then I'll take 1 or 2 more questions, and I'll close it off with a story, okay? And then you'll go celebrate Cinco de Mayo. All right. Some of you don't celebrate it, whatever. I lived in Mexico. It was fun. All right. So system, structure, and strategy. Now, when you have your goal and you're going towards it with the vision, this is where the systems, structure, and strategy come into play. It's all about the questions you ask. Now, we actually teach a course called Impact to Income. We have a live event that we're rolling out in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, which teaches a lot of this. We're going to incorporate a lot of what we just covered too. It's going to be some new content there. And here's my favorite systems and structures and strategies, is that in your life mission, it needs to be broken down into steps, problems, problems, results. Whoa, hold on a second. Steps, problems, and then we got solutions, then results and benefits, and then tools. So this is what's going to create any entrepreneurial's blueprint. It's kind of hard to see. Steps, problems, solutions, results and benefits, and tools. And by breaking this into pieces, you'll be able to see where your structure is, what kind of systems you need to set up from your tools, and then strategies to implement this come from inspiration, come from coaches, and come from new perspectives. So I hire a lot of coaches just for a perspective. Like, I will spend 15 grand on someone just for a new perspective. Even if they don't give me anything of value, the only value is the perspective. And that to me is worth millions. So I'm willing to invest, 15, 25K. I've invested 45 literally over the past 3 years. I've invested over 320, 330 grand in system, structure, strategies, and growing my business. And well worth it. Like, this year, our goal is to hit 1 million. And so we're on the way. Guess what I'm working on? Doing all this stuff. Everything I'm teaching you, I'm living right now. Like, I'm trying to take my life to the next level. And so I'm constantly doing what I'm teaching and refining it. If I find something that doesn't work, it's done. Like, let's do what's easier, right? So this is just a little bit of it. Now, when you're visualizing, after you're done that visualization, be in tune to receive ideas. Have a place to write it, because that's where they're going to come from. You're going to start getting ideas immediately. You tune into this type of frequency, you will get ideas of things you should do, things that you could do, and just jot them down. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about how am I going to do them. Just jot them down. Just write it down. And literally your mind should be like, I need to write this down. This is important. You should train your brain to write it down. What do you need to do? Write it down. I see all your lips moving. All right, good. Write it down. Okay, writing it down creates consistent power. Consistent power. If you don't write it down, your mind will continue to go in these cycles. But the moment you write something down, you allow new inspiration to come and new inspiration to come. And that gives you the ability to create. So the system, structure, and strategy, yes, there's tools and stuff, especially with all your goals about putting things online, running events. We teach all of those pieces about how to get an online course going, how to sell the course, what scripts to use, how to actually do a funnel where it can take someone from A to Z, what Z is, whether it's a low course for $49 or less, or to a strategy session, which is a conversation to you. So those are all the things that entail, which are important in attaining your goal, because they have to be there. If not, you'll continue the cycle as well. Make sense? Okay, so real quick, here's what I would like to do. If someone feels led to take this to the next level and you feel like you need a little bit of extra help, number one, normally what we do is what's called an impact income. We're actually doing a live event called Connect. And in this event, it's an awesome event. It's a 4-day event that teaches structure, strategies, and mindset on achieving your goals, specifically for coaches, speakers, entrepreneurs, mentors, chiropractors, network marketers, thought leaders, people who have messages that they want to get out and monetize. So this course we've literally had people go through, and we had someone go through it last year or the year before. They made 15 grand the whole year. Single mom, stay at home, struggle situation. She came to our event, went through, built out her structure, reconfigured what she was doing, amped up her vision, and within 1 month made $40,000. Pretty good result. Okay. We had another person enroll into what we call our mastermind, go through the mastermind, learn these principles at a higher level of like how to facilitate deep conversations and how to enroll clients at higher levels. And within 2 months, he made $12,000 in 1 week teaching. Whereas before he was making $40 a session. So as a shaman. So like cool stuff. I had another guy who was teaching on relationships. He was passionate about relationships. He was going to school full-time, had 2 kids, college full-time, no time, but he wanted to teach on relationships. He went through our system, took him 4 months, and by the 4th month made $18,000 in that month selling and enrolling clients. Because once you get it, you get it. Many of you have been through this, some of these pieces, but haven't fully applied them. So if you're in that place, apply them, right? If you would like to get access to extra help and you want to launch and get out of these cycles and you're not currently a part of our programs, here's what I'm going to have you do. Text me at 479-221-7824. Text me at 479-221-7824. This is my personal number. Here's what I'm going to do for you. If you text me and you're not a part of our programs already, if you text me, we're going to set up a time to chat. And I just want to know your name. So you're going to text me and say, Joe Bob, I'm in. That's what I want to hear. I'm in. Meaning you're in to take your game to the next level. And what we'll do is we'll get on a chat. I'm going to see where you're at, see what you need help with. And I'm going to share with you some really good opportunities at whatever level that you're at. So these are going to be kind of custom done. And it's going to be for the event. Also for the Bridge to Unstoppable, which is an online thing of helping you visualize and create your goals 10 times faster. And any other products or services that you need to really get going. And so normally I charge $500 for that conversation. Because I don't have a ton of people on and we just threw this together literally within the past 2 days. I'm going to do this. I wouldn't do it if we had 100 people on because I don't want that many texts. I'd have to set up a system for that. But since there's only a few people and there's going to be about 15 listening to the recording, so shoot me a text, 479-221-7824, and the word, your name, I'm in, and then here's what we're going to do. I'll reach out to you to schedule a time where we're going to meet. We are going to go over your vision. We're going to understand your obstacles that are stopping you. And we're going to dive into some opportunities and how we can help you amp it up. Okay? Super valuable to gain clarity. One conversation for me can be worth thousands of dollars because getting clear can save you from going in circles over and over and over and over. If you're tired of going in circles, if you're tired of not getting what you want and you want to get that clarity, text me and make it happen. Do not text me if you're a person who regrets things. I don't like talking and I've eliminated conversations. I know you're like thinking, no, seriously though. There are people out there who will do stuff and then they'll regret and then they'll put it off and then they'll put it off and they'll put it off. Do not waste my time. Do not waste your time. So if that is you, it's probably not a fit. Make sense? But if you are serious about your business and you really want to get out of these cycles and you feel like these principles, if you could just align it and do it, that it would make a world of difference, then it would be a pleasure and an honor to talk with you and really help you take your game to the next level. And we'll talk. It'll be a way of confronting what's real, confronting what you're afraid of, and actually applying these principles that we went over. Sound good? Cool. So any questions about that? So the conversation, again, 479-221-7824, your name, I'm in. I'll reach out. We'll schedule a time. Be sure and honor that time, whatever it is, since you're not making you put down any money. Just don't do that. And then second thing, come ready to change. Come ready to change and make a shift, because we have a lot of opportunities that have helped a lot of people. And I know that many of you here are looking for the next steps. So that's what we're here for. Cool? Okay. Derek just sent you a text. Sweet. Thanks, man. I'll grab that and reach out to you. Any questions about what we covered today? Any questions? We covered 3 things: cycles of the past, Israelites in slavery due to their circumstances, how we're just like them, how to get out of those cycles, how to see with the eye of faith in the 11 different phases, and then a little bit on structure, strategies, and systems. And then we went over the offer today, which is shoot me a text, set up a time, and then make some things happen. Okay? Was this good? Do you think if everybody learned these principles, the world would be a better place?
Absolutely.
I think so too. Cool. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. If you're not a part of our Facebook group, go ahead and join it. It's Enrollment Masters. Enrollment Masters. You can go to tylerfb.com, or just type in Enrollment Masters. Very powerful group. We use these principles. I teach in it every Thursday. And then any questions you have concerning anything we taught here, ask there. Ask and you'll receive. If you don't ask, you'll not get it. So if you're really sincerely looking for help, there are millions of ways to get help. I make myself so available. We have so many things to help. You just have to seek and take action. Seek and take action. So take action today. If you want some extra help, if you want to get your life going and get out of those cycles, text me, make it happen, confront your fears, and invest your time, your money, your energy into doing it. It's been well worth it. Thanks, guys, for joining me. It's been good to see all your faces. I love doing Zoom because it's fun to see y'all. And have a great Saturday if you're watching this live. If you're not, have a great day and enjoy it. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you guys next time, and we'll chat.